That's it?
Sir.
I love that sound when they're talking to it like that. Sounds like something important's happening. I pull this down. All right, people. And today is Monday, February the 17th, 2020. And this is Urban Talk Radio 103.5 FM, WNHHLP, where you will hear conversation, information, education, inspiration, motivation from the American urban perspective. Somebody asked me yesterday, was that African American? American urban perspective. I read it when all the Red Bull went away.
Okay.
I'm your host, Shafiq Abdussabur, and I got my co-host,
Kingsley Ossei, a.k.a. DJ Kingsley.
Hey!
Yay.
And our discussion today, hold it, wait for it, is on Black accountability. If you Black and you sensitive, go to another station now. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to be upset, at least with me.
Yeah,
because I'm gonna hold you tight on this one, because a lot of stuff going on, and it's just, we're 40 years into this thing, man, and 30 years in the same old conversation: gun violence, domestic violence against women. I don't have the patience for it, so I got me a nice hot cup of coffee, and you can join this conversation on Facebook at Bold Minds and Twitter at Bold Minds. You can also stream this show live on your smartphone or on your computer by logging on to newhavenindependent.org. You can send a text to your girl, to your boy, to whoever, tell them to log on, listen to the show. Also joining in the studio with us as an observer, we have Jamie Baker. She's an educator in Connecticut, and she's going to be joining us today, doing a few things and getting a bird's eye view of what we do here in the studio at Urban Talk Radio, tackling these tough issues. So why don't you take it? Why don't you take it, Jamie? Be right up on that microphone. Right up on that microphone.
Good afternoon, everybody. The show topic for today, over the weekend, Hartford, Connecticut, a 28-year-old man is dead and 4 others were shot at a nightclub on the south end of Hartford early Sunday morning, according to police. Officers were called to the Majestic Lounge on Franklin Avenue around 1:30 a.m. According to police, 2 of the surviving victims are in surgery, and the other 2 victims are stable. One of the victims was being driven to the hospital by their brother in a car that crashed. However, they did make it to the hospital. Preliminary information from the police indicates that there was a disturbance inside the nightclub between 2 groups of people. It was not random shooting, and it's too early to determine if it's gang related, according to Lieutenant Paul Cicero.
Yes, and another 57-year-old man was gunned down in Bridgeport, I believe. That was on February 14th. That was the city's 3rd homicide. And then there was also a stabbing at Foxwood on Valentine's Day. Yeah, that was weird. I was in the.
I'm glad I didn't go to Michael Jordan's then.
I
kept it to pizza.
There is a lot of great shows that comes to these casinos. It's really one of the best places to watch shows in the area. It's not like going to New York and you got to worry about the parking itself, and the tickets are expensive and the fees that goes along with it, and even the seats are not even intimate. You'd be at the nosebleed paying about $100 for a ticket, and so it's my go-to place for to watch shows. And I was actually there for Valentine's Day to check out. It was Drew Hill.
Drew Hill was there?
Yes, Drew Hill.
Oh, my God.
Drew Hill was there.
Was he singing it good, too?
No, he put it down. 2020, put it down. And then it was Brandy.
But I like
Brandy
I don't
didn't
really
show.
like Drew Hill. I like Cisco.
Cisco. Oh no, Cisco put it down like like he never left.
Okay.
And then Brandy didn't show up, so he was replaced by Jaru and
okay, well, maybe that's why somebody got stabbed, because
and
Brandy
when it was over, I was in the DJ booth with KG having a little fun, and
was your boy there?
Who?
The guy that was dancing with Miley Cyrus.
No, not this time.
So she know how to twerk now.
Okay. There you go again.
All right, I'm gonna leave it alone.
Then unfortunately somebody get stabbed on the Valentine's Day. That is really not the way to go.
So what's going on, man? Black people. So here's my thing. I'm just gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it real,
and I'm not gonna have nothing to do with it.
Okay, but I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna keep it real. President Trump has been president for almost 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
He did not get impeached. He is not getting impeached.
No, he is impeached.
Well, he's impeached, but he's not going nowhere.
He wasn't removed.
His ratings are the highest they have ever been throughout his entire presidential history. 49%. They said 49% is low, but it is his PR. Just hear me out.
He's acquitted forever.
Just hear me out. Just hear me out. Black people in majority across America, black people in the majority, of course, all of the conversations you hear, black people are like, oh my God, President Trump, he's causing racism. He's causing white people to get extra bowls. He's causing people the racism is going up, or this is going up, or that is going up. Oh my God, we need President Obama back. Here's my point. Black people was killing each other when President Obama was here. President Obama being the president and the black president did not stop black people from killing black people. In fact, President Obama had went to Chicago and did a talk. And he had children where they was in a choir and all this stuff and singing and all this other stuff. And they said while his helicopter was flying out of the city over that area, the little girl was murdered, shot to death inside of the park, where he later had brought the family to the White House, I think, during one of his speeches. So my point is, we made the excuse that we need more black people that look like us in positions. We need more black people that look like us as teachers and mentors and mentoring programs. Okay, you got Brothers Keeper, all this other stuff. Black people have killed each other before President Obama, since the crack rock cocaine wars. It is 2020. We got technology, smartphones, iPhones, all types of opportunity. And our only comeback on why we kill each other is tell the police stop killing us. The police in Connecticut did not kill anybody this week, but a whole bunch of black people got killed. You are not going to find a whole bunch of outrage, a Black Lives Matter movement. You're not going to find a packed house of reverends and community activists saying we need to deal with this. Why? What's the problem? I'm tired of hearing it. But to be honest, it's just like
you're not going to catch me. I'm not anti-police. I mean,
I'm not anti-police either. What I'm saying is we do it all the time. We say, oh, well, so-and-so got killed, and say, well, tell the police stop shooting. That's what the police got to do with Pookie shooting Snooki. We know Pookie, we know Snooki, we know what their real names is, and we know, what I'm saying? Why is it even, and sometimes folks be related.
I mean, the worst is not even blaming the police when the blame is put solely on public officials. Like,
it ain't public officials, though. You in the club, listen, you in a club, you on a corner, you wherever, you got a beef, I got a beef with you. What the mayor got to do with that? I got a beef with you. You dating her, that's my old ex-girl, whatever. She ran some stuff on Instagram.
You didn't know how to act.
Right. So my point is, mayor, so what's going on?
We could definitely use resources all day. We could talk about that all day, about how much resources we can use from the city, state level of public officials. But we got to take accountability as to
how do we do that?
Why our youth?
What does accountability look like for us, Kingsley? What does it look like?
Well, it starts from grassroots organization taking responsibility. For instance, when I live here, I got to take my young adults, Keontae, that's here with me, to a conversation called Real Talk Youth Panel Discussion. Sometimes we got to listen to them. We got to stop all the talking. Like, for instance, I have a program with the city of Bridgeport, my brother's keeper, called Agents of Change, where we define, dissect, and discuss violence with youth throughout the city, 30 kids. And it's a lot of.
But we've been doing that.
Well, it's not a matter of, you can never stop doing it. It's got to be a cutoff.
But we've been doing it.
You see, sometimes we may be, addressing bullying in the high schools and whatnot, but we tend to forget that we got to scale it all the way back to, let's say, at the age of 12. Even younger than that. Because you always got to ask that question, what is bullying? And if they don't know what is bullying and they keep growing up and not knowing what is bullying, it's too late when they get to a certain age.
Okay.
So it's not a matter of
people been bullying people since the beginning of time.
It's just like racism. It's got to be a cut off. They say you are born into racism. It's because you are being raised as one. So it's got to be a cutoff at some point.
Right. So if I was to embrace that theory, it sounds like to me we're saying, hey, listen, if we don't mentor black kids, if we don't start talking to black kids early about bullying, they're destined to be violent. So we've got to cut off that by I don't get that. I'm not gonna buy that. I don't interact.
No, Shafiq. What I'm saying is, okay. So let's say I'm doing a run right now. I'm doing a test run right now. You know,
Right.
and I start with the high schools and forget that, hey, while I'm talking to high schools about bullying, the ones at 12th grade, they're still learning about bullying, and by the time they get to high school, everything behind me up to 12th grade is still going.
So at 30,
if I start at 12th grade,
right,
by the time those 12th graders get to high school, they're not.
But at 30 years, but here's
anymore.
what I'm saying. At 30 years old, I don't know that I shouldn't shoot you in the head.
That's because it's too late.
Why?
If it's too
I'm 30.
late.
I don't know. I'm not supposed to shoot you in the head. Somebody's got to teach me that.
No, if you were taught way at a younger age,
somebody's got to. So I got to teach my 12-year-old son at 12. Hey, talk to a person this way, so that when you get 30, you won't like automatically go off the rails and shoot somebody in the head. I'm just like,
it's got to be a cutoff. It's just got to be a cutoff at some point. That's just the bottom line. It's got to be a cutoff. That's why they say we got to catch them young.
I don't know, man.
No,
I don't know.
That's why we got to catch them young. Violence prevention is we're supposed to catch them at a very young age, not waiting until they get to high school and then start talking to them about it. We lost them already.
Do you believe that violence breeds in poverty?
Yeah, I believe.
Do you think it's a poverty issue? It's not
solely.
Yeah,
not solely. It is a part of it. Yeah. That's, for instance.
So should we attack the poverty of it?
That's my for instance, say that I came into this industry from the music industry because I think that the hip hop music is part of the problem, and sometimes people debate.
So is it making people shoot people? Hip hop music?
You ever heard the word ops?
Ops like what?
Ops.
OPT.
OPS.
Oh no, I heard it. I don't know what it means. It means a lot of different things to different people.
Okay, so
like opposition, black ops, like operation
from that side of town. You're not from my side of town, so that automatically is a violation. This is not even about the 90s.
But that's not a hip hop thing.
No, check it out. This is not about the 90s, early 2000s when the gun violence was about you was on my block trying to make money, or maybe my girl. And this is like recklessly. You're not from my side of town. You on ops. And they come at you. That the youth violence that's going on right now, that is really what it is. But where are they getting this stuff from? From the music and from the video games.
So I would also say too, good point on the, if we call it geographical, right? We call it geographical kind of like separation of people and communities contributes to. I would agree with that.
Definitely.
But I will say that that's when we get into the historical city planning of many urban cities. I know that I watched a documentary on the Keys in Florida, and they talked about how specifically the neighborhoods were arranged based on the railroads and how the railroads came into the particular towns, and that to the particular side of the railroad owners, the people that came in with all of the money, said, we want all of the Negroes to live not too far from the railroad. We want them to actually be able to walk to the railroad because that's how they got on the transportation to go to work. But they did not want, when the people got off the train, to be able to see them or see their communities. This was the way they set up most of the railroads in all of the urban sectors all throughout the United States. So that's a historical, long before we even got kind of like a hoot and holler. We didn't even have some rights then. And then we now have this thing in the city with, different cities with gerrymandering, right? So based on how communities are broken up for voting rights and different things, that kind of sometimes locks people into resources. And, then we say, oh, this is the historical black community, but really it's the community that has now been isolated as they really don't vote. Their infrastructure is poor. And, we're just going to try to make them the smallest voting block maybe. And as a result of that, you have a high concentration of maybe the delayed infrastructure, delayed housing opportunities. Everything's delayed. You don't have a post office. You don't have a place if you cut your arm to get stitches. You don't have daycare services. You don't have good green space services. And some of those, in my opinion, contribute to the ongoing issues. But I'm just going to keep it real. Hey, listen, just had a birthday. I just turned 53. I grew up in a house with my grandparents when I was a little kid. I remember being 5 years old and I used to sleep in the bed with my grandmother, right? Grandfather would work late at night, so my grandmother would say, come on, get in bed. So I was sleeping in bed with my grandmother. 5 years old. My grandmother would sleep next to a drawer. Some of y'all know called a chiffero, right? So she would sleep next to a little nightstand. The drawer door would be open of the nightstand, and it was a silver, what I now know to be a revolver, right? Probably was a 38 because it looked like a 38. Silver handgun in the drawer, visible every single night. She opened that drawer because my grandfather would be working overnight. In my whole entire life of existence, I'd never touched that gun. Mm-hmm. My grandmother would get up and go cook grits. She would go do her thing in the morning. I would be laying in the bed. I'd be the last one to get out of the bed. When I got out of bed, I would see that gun as I went through the drawer, but I never touched that gun. Nobody in my house never touched that gun. That gun never, my grandfather's guns never got stolen. And my uncles and my mother, and because my mother had me when she was young, they came from the projects. They came from Foot Street. They came from, you know, the whole low flats of Dixwell Avenue and Haight. We came from that. That's where we came from. We came from nothing, right? So I'm sorry, everybody. I'm not buying because you poor. You don't know not to shoot somebody in the head, the back, shoot up people in the park. This is a bunch of nonsense, man. I can't buy that. I mean, I can't buy that. You're originally from Africa, right? Correct?
Yes, sir.
In the continent of Africa, they're poor people, but they ain't stabbing people and shooting people setting people up.
So guess what it comes down to? And we can agree to disagree, and we talk about it. It comes down to gun control. You just nailed it. You said no. You just nailed it. When I was in Ghana back in September, I said the same thing. I said I have been in this country for 5 days. Nobody got shot. It doesn't mean that they're not poor. It doesn't mean they don't have issues. But if the guns are not accessible, then they're gonna have to fist it up, maybe stab it up. But they're not even to none of that. It's really about fighting because the guns are not accessible so easy. We always ask ourselves a question: what makes a kid so angry that he takes a gun to kill somebody? Yes, the substance abuse plays a part. But then we also got to remember that if the guns was not accessible, what would be the
people
choice?
Would stab each other.
Okay, if that was not really that easy neither, they will have to fight. Why does the stabbing even have to come in place? Why can't the fighting come in place? Why can't we fight it out?
Does it go back to mindsets?
Mindset is definitely.
You gotta get up on that microphone.
Mindset is definitely a part of it. The way you are raised is a part of it. But it all boils down to if that gun is not so easily accessible.
But he grew up with a gun on the side of the bed.
You sound like the Democrats right now.
No. I sound like let's talk about gun control.
There's no gun.
Okay. How the guns gets in our community. Why is it so easy for these kids to have guns accessible to them?
Let me take that break.
I don't have the answers.
Let me take that break. Obviously, this show is on fire today. Pour some cold water on me. Hey. This is Urban Talk Radio 103.5 FM. I'm Shafiq Abdussabur, co-host.
Kingsley Ossei, DJ Kingsley.
Today we're discussing Black accountability. Be accountable, Black people. Hold your people accountable. You can join this conversation on Facebook at Bold Minds and Twitter at Bold Minds. Stream this show right now by logging on to newhavenindependent.org. Also in the studio, sitting in with us today is Connecticut educator Jamie Baker. So here's the deal. We're talking about gun violence, gun control. What can we do? Let me run these stats down. The epidemic of Black homicide victimization. This is from the Policy Center. Very familiar with this report. I've used it in some of my research and writings as well. But here's the breakdown. It says and this is 2016 stats. So for the people out there that says, oh my God, where is 2020? There is no 2020. Understand how research is done. Research is done because somebody that has money puts money into something and says, research this issue because it's going to benefit them. When it doesn't benefit them, they don't put money into that issue and they don't research it. That's why I'm reading victimization of homicides of Black people and not of Hispanic Latinos, because nobody has put the research in it because it's not a concern of somebody right now for some reason. That's the politics of research. But nevertheless, here it is. Black homicides. This is the most recent report that has been put out there. 7,756 Black homicide victims. Of that, 87% were male, 13% were female. They said 5 were of unknown sex. of the 501 homicide victims, which is 7%, less than 7% of them were 18 years old. So of the 501, they were basically classified as children. 146 homicide victims, which is 2%, were 65 years or older, basically classified as elderly. The average age of black people killed in the United States, the average age is roughly around 31 years old. Here's the number that we're looking for. 87% of black homicides of people were shot by guns. 87% were shot by guns, and 66% were handguns. So of the 87%, which is 6,505 out of the 7,442 black people that were shot and killed, 4,319 were shot and killed by handguns. I want to just put a pin in that. So when we go back again and talk about gun control, and we look at all of the gun control legislation that's passed in the United States, including Connecticut and other places all around the country, and they start talking about AR-15s and assault weapons, black people are not killed by assault weapons. Black people are killed by handguns. So when we get assault weapon ban bills and all of this stuff, we're not keeping black kids alive. Black kids is actually dying even faster because it's going to flood the market with more handguns. But I ain't going to get wild about that. I'm going to just keep it to the thing. Okay. 193 killed by blunt force, 193 killed by bodily force, 117 killed by blunt force, and 540 basically stabbed. So they're saying knives or cutting instruments. So even if we didn't have, well, it looks like you didn't still have guns, you still got people killing each other. Here's the other thing. Of the 75% of all black victims are killed by somebody they know. So we kill each other. We kill each other. I know you.
Why are we so angry though?
I don't know.
Why?
We kill each other.
Why so angry?
So that's another issue. Let's check this out. Out of the 7,500, roughly 7,400 total black homicides in the United States, only 757 were killed by a stranger. 750, and that is like literally less than 1%. So 75% of us, in the instance when we're killed by somebody we know.
But then you got to ask, how long was this research though? How long was this?
I'm gonna just run out the last numbers. I'm gonna run them all out, then I'm gonna rest my case.
Because things done changed a lot.
I got you. Listen, I'm gonna just run them out. So here you go. Homicides and the circumstance of homicides. 71% were not committed in the commission of any felony, meaning that there was no crime going on. It just, somebody got shot and killed. 48% involved arguments between the victim and the offender. So 48%, only half of them was an argument. So the whole thing about, bullying and half of them was people got shot for that. 17% were reported as gang related. So we can't blame it on the gangs. We can't say, oh, the gangs is out there, man. It's the Bloods, it's the Crips, because they kill each other. No, it's only 17% of them that actually get involved in that. And that only represented 523 homicides, as is when we talked about people that were stabbed. So technically, if the gangs could have just compensated that stabbing thing, I'm saying they did, but it's there. I'm just saying. 2016, blacks represented 30% of the nation's population, but 51% of all the homicides. 13% of the nation's population, 51% of the homicides. And then totally agree with every black person in the world about the disproportionate incarceration of African-American men particularly, and now the high increase of African-American women. Ridiculous, disgusting, the system needs to be fixed. I'm all in on that. But we can't be on one end saying, oh, wow, Donald Trump's the president, we in trouble, blah, 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 the white man's taking over, this, we can't get money, it's just crazy, it's racism, I can't get the job I want. And then 75% of us getting killed by people we know, and then we only represent 13% of the population, and we killing each other. And then we wonder why we don't have a solution to the problem. We're not a solution to the problem because like D.L. Hughley said, we're killing the solution. That 75% that's getting murdered, that's our doctor, that's our lawyer, that's our next politician, that's our next Obama, that's our next world peace, that's the next person that's going to stop the coronavirus. We're killing them. I'm just saying.
Do you remember they said President Obama was about to take everybody's guns away, which is the conspiracy of trying to sell more guns? And guess what? A lot more guns was sold just of their NRA scare tactics.
Not works. Even the NRA scare. Listen, during the Sandy Hook incident, right, which is a tragedy, that following days after the Sandy Hook shooting, most all gun stores there were lines out the door. The news had it.
Right.
There were lines out the door. Right. So that had nothing to do with President Obama. That had to do with people just automatically, instinctively know.
It have everything to do with the gun lobbies putting their money out there and getting the word out. They are about to take your guns away. Shafiq, come on, don't play. You know,
I'm just saying. I don't think they're
come on, man.
I
like speaking facts and how this stuff is manufactured. These crises are manufactured.
So we're blaming it on the gun manufacturer?
If there is a lot of loopholes that allow these guns to get in our streets, let's keep it all the way 100.
Check it out. So let's make these numbers so that our listeners can understand them better.
Let's keep it all the way 100.
Right, and they're visual. So listeners, this is what we want to say. This is what I'm going to say to you. If there's 100 black people in a room, 100 black people in a room, right? And there's 100 black people in another room. 75 black people from the other room, technically, is going to come into this room, and each one of them would shoot and kill another black person. Right? They know each other. They know each other. Or if you have 100 people in the room, 75 of them die from gun violence, which only leaves 25. When those 25 people look around and say, oh my God, 75 of us in the room just got killed, who killed them? We did. We killed them. The people that we know that knew them killed them.
I don't disagree on the black accountability, the way you want to, where if that's right. Where I do not disagree with that.
So I'm saying guns play a factor. I'm saying certainly the accessibility, but this is how I always say. That's how I look at it like this. Let me ask you this. This is what I'm saying.
I always go down to the roots of the problem, but I'm not saying that we have to address it from the roots. Right. We can also address it from the surface.
Right.
Like you said, the mental health. What causes the mental health?
Mental health is
good. We can address from the surface.
So if somebody drove up to your house every day and dropped off a brick of meth every day, boom, a brick of meth, boom, a brick of meth. After the first day you drop a brick of meth, you don't use it, right? Then they say, well, wait, maybe he don't know how to use it. So let me drop off, I don't know, a meth pipe. So they drop off another brick and they drop you off a bag of pipes. And another bigger, I can say this with my hand up before God. If they did that for a month, for 30 days,
eventually
I could drive by your house in 30 days and it would be 30 bricks of meth still outside your house with all of the bags. You know why? Because you don't do that. Because you ain't touching that. So the mere accessibility of it being there is not just it. You follow what I'm saying? I got a whole house full of knives. I ain't stabbing no damn body.
But it depends on who you dropping those things off to. When I say that we got to address a lot of these problems from the kids level, as an educator, you drop that thing over there to a 12-year-old and he's not touching it. There might be that other 12-year-old that will come there and influence him to use it. So it can be as simple.
7% of the victims are under 18 years old.
Check it out. It can be as simple as the way we run our programs. Little things as, doing a program with kids and asking them, hey, who's your best friend? How did you meet your best friend? You see, going from elementary school, going into high school, you may not go into high school with your best friend from elementary. He might go to Central High School. You might go to Hardin. If you go to Hardin, you're going to pick up some new friends. And I ask them simple questions like, how did you meet your best friend? Because you sat on an orientation and he was cool. He had on a fresh pair of Jordans. What did you have in common? They tend to tell me all the different things in common. So if you say you're dropping that thing over here and that 12-year-old who knows better is not touching it, he might be influenced by that other 12-year-old because he didn't know any better and picked up a wrong friend. So it boils down to how do you pick your friends? What do you have in common? If your friend is skipping class, you're going to be skipping class too. You see, but it starts from there, letting them know better from their young age. So at a certain age, if I know better, there is nothing that's going to teach me any worse. But if I don't know any better, I can easily be influenced.
I agree with you. I'm not even I just let it go.
I let it go. Even adults are easily influenced when they are followers.
I let it go. I realize that I'm pulling out a torch. I mean, it's personal to me. I've had family members killed, you know, in New Haven through gun violence. It's very personal.
And none of us have the answer. Right?
Yeah. I totally agree with
you. All hands on deck. I totally agree. It's all hands on deck approach.
You know, but you know, having been in law enforcement, in fact, I was on I was appointed by one of the mayors to handle specifically gun violence epidemic in our community at that time. You know, I saw both sides. I saw the person when, you know, you go to a call and a young black male is shot and there's literally like 100 people outside, and you get there and you're the only cop and you're standing there and you're holding that kid's hand and that kid is dying and you know he's gonna die and he's looking you in the eyes and you're saying, you know, hold on, brother, hold on. And the, you know, the ambulance is coming and everybody's around. Nobody turns the music down. You know, everybody's kind of in a normal mindset. They're running his pockets. You know, they're you know, whatever.
What state? What state was it in last week when
I don't know
when somebody light off on police officers? And was it Florida, Chicago, somewhere?
But you're missing my point though right now.
No,
I'm not talking about police officers. I'm talking about our community to whatever we have gotten to the, you know, you know, we have certainly become desensitized to this stuff. It is no doubt about that. And my point is, you know, I love you. I love her. You know, people in this room. If somebody was to come in this room and shoot you, I'm going to find you. I'm going to turn you in. I'm going to go tell. I'm going to give a description. I'm not going to be like, well, you know, I can't roll like that because, I mean, and we've heard these conversations for so long before we knew the criminal justice system had serious, verifiable issues. But now we've used these as excuses. I can't snitch because, you know, the majority of us are already locked up unjustly. So because we know this and that's what we believe, we're just going to continue to let 75% of our community get killed by people they know. And sometimes we know these problems are happening. And sometimes we exacerbate them, egg them on, and encourage them. That's the other part. I'm going to keep it real. I don't have Facebook, and I ain't got nothing against Facebook or Instagram, all this stuff. But we know a lot of the crap goes on social media. Some of this stuff starts or it continues on social media, and then it plays out in the street. So, again, I mean, I'm sure that we're probably at a point now where we need social media bullying stuff and all these different things. And, you know, I kind of came up with the terms all hands on deck. But I really think we need to kind of drill down now and give the community, you know, what can we do? So let's talk about, maybe you and Jamie can add that before we
go there. You started off the show with about cops, people not liking cops.
Not really. I just touched on that briefly.
And that you remember when I was in the industry and we was over there on Dixwell Avenue,
right,
by the NAACP office, and Officer Sutton had punched me in the face at Vendome and arrested me on the spot.
Right.
You remember that? Right, you remember that story because I do remember
that story. Yeah. But what I'm saying,
I did completely. Let me to finish.
Gotcha.
I did completely nothing. I mean, I was so traumatized by that for so long with such a hatred for cops. It wasn't until I started working under Connecticut Against Violence, in which my mission was to break the cultures between law enforcement and the community. I was able to develop relationship with them. Until then, I was very traumatized. I was actually promoting records, going into Vendome, just bringing a piece of vinyl to a DJ. I'm in the line. Officer Sutton says, "Why are you in front of the line? Why are you, I said, because the security just asked me to come in. He said, no. He said, get behind the rope. I get behind the rope because didn't I tell you to get behind the line? I said, he just told me to get behind the rope, and the security told me to do so, and he'll bring me back in. He punches the phone right off my hand. Phone gets in the ground. I said, I need your badge number. He walks me across the street, punched me in my face, and straight into the paddy wagon. That fast, just like that.
We got 2 minutes. I'm gonna let y'all take it away. 2 minutes. Minute each. Solutions.
So you all talk about, I want to go back to what Kingsley said about the idea of going back to the youth. A lot of things that you talk about with the social media and things like that, these things are happening in the schools, and it may not be guns per se in the schools, but there are conflicts and fights that are happening within the schools. So I think we do need to start some way with the youth and teaching them how to resolve conflict amongst each other. Giving them some curriculums would be great.
More social workers?
More social workers, more support staff within our buildings, because some of our kids are suffering from.
How about sports programs? Is that an opportunity?
That's normal.
If it's some mentors, it's some sort of mentors involved in it, some sort of mentorship, I agree. I think that that's something a part of it.
So here's my question. What can parents do? I want you to give parents something that they can do. Parents sitting home, listening to this, fathers, grandmothers, what can they do this week? What should they do this week with their children?
I want them to be more involved in what their children are doing when it comes to social media and their interactions with their peers. If you begin to do that, you'll be more astute and aware of what's going on, and can work with school staff so that we can bring some resolve to it and figure out what the true issues are so that we can help the students and lead them right down the right path.
Kingsley, what can we do? Not for kids, because grown brothers killing each other.
I will use my.
What can we do?
I will use my for shameless plug. I have our 5th annual Hip Hop Expression of Black History event coming up. It's going to be a Q&A with Rakim, a conversation with Rakim called "Sweat the Technique," and he's going to talk about
When is it?
It's February 29th, and with that, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Margaret E. Morton Center, 999 Broad Street, and we're also going to have a conversation about hip hop and gun violence, with an invitation to U.S. Senator Blumenthal, the police chief of Bridgeport, the mayor, Joe Ganim. Is supported by the city of Bridgeport. It's going to be victims of gun violence, survivors of gun violence. You are also invited. It's going to be educators, mothers, and we expect everybody in the building. We're going to tackle this issue from all angles. So we expect you to be there, 999 Broad Street, February 29th, 5th Annual Hip Hop Expression of Black History.
This is Urban Talk Radio 103.5 FM WNHHLP. I'm Shafiq Abdussabur, co-host
DJ Kingsley Ossei.
If you just joined us late in the show, joined any part of this show, you can follow us on Facebook at Bold Minds and Twitter at Bold Minds. You can stream this show live on your smartphone or log onto your computer. NewHavenIndependent.org. If you miss any part of this live broadcast, you can keep current on our latest show and show schedules. Actually, you can go to soundcloud.com/boldminds or newhavenindependent.org. Remember, Urban Talk Radio will air live again March 2nd, 12 noon. And maybe we can bring some people in here. We can continue this conversation. Definitely. I think it's really important. Definitely. And we thank you, Ms. Baker, for joining us. Thank you for tuning into Urban Talk Radio. And put the damn guns down.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
for having me, guys.